Well, 680's Richard Southern joins us now. Richard, it is election day. Everyone's voting. It's a wonderful thing, but you're looking at the cost of democracy.
Yeah, it's not cheap, Francis. We've crunched the numbers. We've heard from Elections Ontario, and we know exactly pretty much what today's election is costing us. It's $126 million. That's what they're pegging the cost at. That's a lot, eh? And it works out, Francis, to about $12 per eligible voter. And we know not everyone that's eligible to vote. So this is another reason why you should. About 55,000 people are employed by Elections Ontario for this election, and their wages range from between $15.60 to $26 per hour. So go out there and exercise your right to vote. I saw you did today, which is great, and I did too. And now here we are, all ready for election night coverage.
Yeah, and, you know, we know there's going to be a government change. Investors are watching this provincial election a lot more closely than they have in the past.
They sure are, because there's a lot of uncertainty, and we know uncertainty is the thing investors just want the least. They don't want uncertainty. What are they looking at? They're looking at the tax situation. The PC party has pledged to cut the corporate tax rate to 10.5%. NDP says they'll increase the corporate tax rate to 13% from the current 11.5%. Electricity, another major issue for investors. NDP said they'll return Hydro One to public ownership. So investors in Hydro One, they don't know what to make of this. PC said they'd fire the board of directors and the CEO. Hydro One stock, amid all this confusion, is down 15% on the year. And then there's the whole debt issue. And, you know, we haven't heard a whole lot about this from the parties on the campaign, but Ontario has a $325 billion debt. That amounts to $22,000 per Ontarian. The bond markets, the currency markets, they're watching this closely. We've already, Francis, seen warnings from some of the credit rating agencies about Ontario's credit rating perhaps getting downgraded. And again, we haven't heard a lot on this issue from the major parties.
Well, we also know that the price of gas has been a big election issue, and it's going to be on the move again tonight. Yeah,
it's going down 2 cents a litre at midnight tonight, so they'll bring the average to $1.33.9, but it's going to be short-lived, and Pro International believes that the price will go up 2 cents on Saturday morning. So Friday is going to be your cheapest bet for a fill-up. And of course, Doug Ford pledging to cut the taxes on gasoline, so it has been a big election issue.
If he wins. Well, the next Ontario government will have to oversee the rollout of legalized marijuana. The Senate is actually voting on that bill tonight, but there's no guarantee it's going to pass.
No, it actually could be quite close. Senators, Francis, they passed 45 amendments on this bill. That's an unusually large number. Some of the amendments include making it illegal for adults to share marijuana with minors. Another interesting amendment would specify that police who seize cannabis plants don't have to keep them alive, don't have to water them. Another amendment would see stringent advertising restrictions, so the marijuana companies couldn't put out swag or T-shirts, that sort of thing. And finally, marijuana growers, they would have to publicly disclose any shareholders. So we'll see what happens in the Senate tonight. If it does pass, it'll go back to the House of Commons. We're looking more like September for the legalization date now as opposed to July.
So I read this on social media. IKEA is making a big announcement about how it plans to go green. Quite ambitious.
It is, and because they're so big, it's very impactful. So the world's largest furniture retailer planning to only use renewable and recycled materials by the year 2030. Company says it aims to reduce the climate impact of its products by about 2/3 over the next decade. IKEA joining a long list of global companies that are looking to make their operations more environmentally sustainable. And the fact that they're doing this, these big companies, very impactful, because the world's 250 biggest companies account for about 1/3 of all man-made greenhouse gas emissions. So more sustainable at IKEA, still difficult to put together, I'm afraid.
Is it going to be a paper tool too, or are they sticking with that? Because, I mean, if it's going to be more difficult.
It'll be a little paper Allen key now you got to work with.
Could you imagine? A Japanese startup has created a hover backpack that's going to let us, maybe you and I, dunk. Would that
For the first time, Richard and Francis could do this. Look at that airtime.
That would be amazing.
This is they're working on this. It's a little drone you put on your back. It just makes you like cross a street. You wouldn't have to walk across. You could float across the street.
Wow.
Big impacts as well for people with disabilities. If you're in a wheelchair, you could perhaps leave the chair and go up a flight of stairs. So they're working on this at the universities in Japan, and could see this in the future. And yeah, we could be moonwalking, you and I, Francis. There you go.
Well, you know, if you can do the moonwalk, you got to do it backwards, though.
Got to do it backwards.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard.